Jeff Slakey here on this Wednesday morning, and we're going to check in now as we go to the phone lines and say good morning.
Morning, Jeff.
How you doing? 35th District Representative Drew MacEwen on the air today, and a couple things to talk about. First things first, bill that you were working on over the session here regarding high school testing seems to have passed through and already making some good news for high school seniors. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm pleased to have gotten that through. It's a little different than the original bill I had done, but this was a compromise legislation between the Senate and the House, and OSPI helped a lot with working this through. And basically, in a nutshell, what it does is moves all these tests to the 10th grade, so that we're not having seniors that have a 3.9 GPA in the second semester of their senior year and have a test that they have to pass that, by all their indications, they've fulfilled every other obligation of their K-12 education, and they've got a test hanging out there. And that's just a ridiculous system that we've got in place here. And so it moves all of them to 10th grade. If you don't do well on one of them, you then, this totally makes sense. You take some classes in your ensuing remaining 2 years to address those shortcomings, and that takes care of the situation. That's as simple as I can explain the bill. And it also delays the biology as being a requirement until 2021, and that's really a key piece of this whole deal as well, because that test in particular is one of the worst ones, where it is not testing a whole lot of what has been taught at that point in a student's career, and it's been, I think, a very unfair test. And I just remind people that these are federally designed tests that were never intended to measure student progress. They were intended to measure school districts across the nation. It was part of the No Child Left Behind, and these were never intended to be part of a student graduation requirement. So we've, in a nutshell, we've done away with it. It also goes into effect immediately, so it affects the class of 2017, even though they've all, at this juncture, held their graduation ceremonies. But it does help some that may have some issues there lingering out, and allow them to get their diploma now. So I think that's a good thing as well.
Yeah, sounds like it. Moving now to the budget negotiations, and we're seeing some things on Twitter here this morning that there were some very long nights for negotiators. And what are you hearing?
Well, I'll give you the breaking news. The deal was reached at 6:30 this morning. And so we do have a budget deal, and I'm not going to go into any specifics on it at this point, because all of the caucuses still have to be briefed, and that needs to happen before a lot of things go out publicly. But yeah, we do have a deal, and now and that's good. The rush now is, can we get this done by midnight on Friday, which is the end of our fiscal year. And the reason that we can't just magically vote on it today is because a lot of last-minute decisions were made and agreements were made. A $40 billion budget is not a one piece of paper bill.
Right,
It's lengthy. It's hundreds of pages. And so the nonpartisan staff, the Office of Program Research, the Code Revisor's Office, they actually have to write this thing now. I mean, the bulk of it has been written, but there's still a lot that has to be written, and that takes time to do on a $40 billion budget. So, I'm hopeful that there's a chance we can get this thing passed before midnight on Friday, and the governor signs it into law, and everybody wakes up on Saturday and state government is as is, and there aren't any concerns. There is a possibility this could end up going into Saturday, though, and we vote. And would that create a quote-unquote shutdown? Well, I guess the good news would be is that it's on a Saturday, so there aren't a lot of state government functions going on.
Right.
However, you do have things like the state parks, et cetera, and it would be my hope that the governor and his administration are working with their various agencies to ensure that things just remain open and continue to move smoothly. And that's. But we're there. We're just not quite there yet. We've got to get through the logistics of getting it all in place and voted on. And there's a number of other bills that have to be passed in order to implement the budget. So it's not just one vote that needs to occur. So we got a lot of legislative work here to do over the next few days. There's a possibility we can have it done, as I mentioned, but there's a possibility we could also roll into Saturday. And but I think by and large, for what I think most people would call your rank and file state employee worker, there won't be any issue, showing up for work next week.
So as we reach the midnight deadline on Friday into Saturday, would you just continue as if midnight didn't happen, like you wouldn't gavel out of the Friday day, or would it be the next day? You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we have this wonderful power in the legislature to suspend time.
Yeah.
And it's actually been used before, and we can do it, and we can keep going. So
okay.
Yeah, that's not a problem. That we can make that happen, and as you and I have talked about on this show, for months on end here, we've got to change this whole process, though. This is, this is my third biennial budget. The first one when I was a freshman in the House, I think we got it done, around June 20th or so, give or take. And then 2 years ago, it was the same scenario as it is right now. It was right up to the deadline. I think we passed the budget at 11:54 at night on June 30th, and the governor signed it literally at 11:59. And this just isn't acceptable. And last night I was speaking with a Democrat colleague who's in the Senate, and he and I were communicating, and we're going to get this thing done, let the dust settle, and he and I are going to really work hard here in the fall to form a coalition of folks to do some serious reforms in this process. And this isn't. I think a lot of us, it's become more pronounced in the last couple of years, and but you look at the history, and going back to 1951, there's only been 5 times a budget has been done on time in the regular session, and it's an institutional structure issue. The way things are set up, they probably worked much better 100 years ago than they do now, clearly, and. But we need to make some changes, and I think we can get enough people involved and make those changes, so we're not doing this and putting people through this pressure cooker every 2 years.
35th District Representative Drew MacEwen with some good news here for us this morning on Daybreak, and thank you for all the hard work throughout the session. And so likely then we will be all wrapped up before next week, but we'll talk again real soon, kind of do a postmortem on this before too long.
Sounds good.
All right, Drew, have a great one.
You too. Thank you.